All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. I'm Byron Ginsburg. I largely do copywriting and content creation and publicity services for individuals and organizations. And I am the twice former program director of the Freelance Exchange, where I was fortunate to plan basically dozens of lunch and learn events featuring some of our premier marketers, communicators, and professional services providers in the city. So my successor at this point is Victoria Pena, and you'll probably be hearing from her in time. But it's kind of interesting. We had to cancel a March event due to the suddenness of the virus, and did not want to do that online. And maybe we ultimately will. I don't think we've learned a lot about how to make this forum work. So hopefully what you're here to do is to learn how to post your portfolio to the Freelance Exchange website. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to try to keep this to 30 minutes, although I just learned I don't have the same obstacle at 2:30. So we can kind of take our time. So what I'd like to do is just have you all relax. You don't need to take a lot of notes, because this afternoon, Shelley is going to send you some step-by-step instructions, very detailed, so that you can do this on your own. It'll also have my name, my contact information, and I'm happy to do anything with anyone one-on-one if they need help, getting their pieces posted to the site. So just kind of sit back and relax and watch what this is. I'm going to give you a tour of what I consider to be a pretty exemplary portfolio from one of our members. And then we'll kind of go over to where I've posted some of my pieces. And then we're going to take a look at kind of the back end, if you will, that mysterious back end place that people like to refer to with various tech type projects. And we're going to walk through basically how to post a couple of different things to my portfolio, a couple of samples to mine. So just kind of relax and take a look, just see what we're doing here. Again, so I want to go, so again, I will be available for one-on-one help afterwards. There's no charge, there's no pitch, there's no daily email, there's no autoresponder. It's just, it just kind of comes with the territory of being a good Freelance Exchange, participant. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through a what I think is pretty model portfolio. So let me try to click here. So let's walk through a model portfolio here. And the great thing about this is that as good as this one is, it's not a lot of work, and yours can be like that too if you like it. So what we're going to do is, so here, if you're not familiar with this, I've got to kind of minimize something else here. To find a portfolio, suppose we're going to kind of take the position that maybe we are someone who is looking for a provider of services. So you can click on portfolios, and at this screen you can search by name or you can search by specialty. And for this example, we're going to imagine we are looking for a photographer. So I'm going to go to photography. I'm going to click on search, and that is going to render everyone who has is on the site and has indicated that photography is a specialty of theirs, whether or not they have their portfolio up. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at Matt Nichols, longtime member, longtime board member, and we're going to go look at Matt's portfolio. And what you're going to see here is on the left-hand column, you're going to see a variety of pictures from Matt's portfolio. On the right-hand side, there's contact information and background, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But I'll try to go slowly here with scrolling this from top to bottom, but you can kind of see what Matt's got here. You'll see he's got images, he has kind of a title or a a description of the type of work he's done, and then he has a description here below of maybe a little backstory, a little background on what brought this image about. So you can kind of see he's talking about, here's a lifestyle portrait. Here is a Harley Davidson. Here is a Quintiles building, a portrait, another portrait, another portrait. Here's Eddie Kennison, used to play for the Chiefs. So, these fields here that you're seeing are all up to you to enter the information. So it can be whatever you want it to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back up here. I'll just take you down to the bottom. So Scandia down work that he did, a tear sheet. So, he's trying to get across the types of photography that he does. Magazine portraits, product. You can see he's got an abundance of stuff here. This is a client of his who, they customize garages. So really nice thing with Matt, of course, with photos, the colors are very vivid and the quality is excellent. But what we're going to do here, I'm going to just scroll on back up to the top, try not to make anyone seasick here. And so what you can do here is once your portfolio is in place, so you can, these images are clickable. So we're going to start with this one here, and you'll see you get a nice larger view of the image that he's got there. From there, you can actually come over here to the right, and you'll see an arrow, and you can actually scroll through the images, or your viewer can scroll through your images. So very conducive for what Matt is doing with just photography, not a lot of description. You'll also notice that up here, you can click on this arrow and start a slideshow. This actually works a little slowly, so we won't wait for the whole thing to go, but you can get an idea. And so there's a lot of versatility with what is going on here. We're going to stop the slideshow, and we're going to click to this image. I think it's just a little larger. And then here, you can have more of a gallery type display. So, I did not create this apparatus, but it's got some nice flexibility to it. And then we're going to close this image for a moment. Hoping to not close out of this Zoom here. Okay. And what you can do, and we're going to get to this in a moment, pardon me, is, when we clicked on this image here, or any of these images, it brought a larger visual of the image. One of the nice things you'll see when we go in and actually do a couple of samples is that there's a spot here for this type image, which is probably a JPEG. There's a spot in the fields where you enter your description where you can actually paste in a URL. So if you have something like a blog post or a website or something like that, you can take your viewer out to something live where they can see your work, and that may offer a little bit more validity. Now, Matt did not necessarily do that with his. I did on a couple of mine. So what we're now going to do is I'm going to go show you how I've used this a little bit differently than Matt. So what I'm going to do is come back over here to portfolios, and I'm going to click on my name to bring mine. And you go over here, once you have this information in, you just click on your name, and then my portfolio is going to come up. So these are different types of pieces or different types of executions I've done. This is a professional profile. In fact, Laura Williams, I think you were asking Matt Kasner in the last session or earlier this morning about a resume or a profile. I've done that type of thing. If you'd like to talk about it sometime, that's great. The kind of the downside of with this particular piece, which is in a PDF, is that when you use a PDF file type, it doesn't display a thumbnail for some reason, like this one down here, which is a blog post. Now it does allow you to view, so when you click on View Project, it kind of comes out like this, and it will allow you to scroll through, the actual piece. But that's kind of one of the downsides of the PDF. So you can go down here and you can enter, these I use mostly they're JPEGs, or you can actually, if you have a piece like a PDF, you can actually make a screenshot of maybe the top page of your PDF, and that can work as a PNG type file. So, again, type of work, client blog post, banking industry article, media appearance, and you can link out to these things where they still live. And as is the case, sometimes you have to check these periodically to see if those links are still, alive. But you can scroll through like this. So, for instance, this was a PDF at one point, and I think I just took a shot of the cover and used that as a JPEG. So what we're going to do now is go and look at this and say, well, how does this stuff get there? Because that's really what we're here to learn. So where you would go, and actually I am logged in presently, but you would log in, and when you log in, where you get to is the same place you get to through what's called the user dashboard here. So once you log in and you hit enter, you still come to this screen. So you would go into Manage Portfolio, and it looks like this. So the way, here are basically the fields you get with every execution that you want to post. So think of these as like every picture that Matt had on the left column of his. You come in here and you choose, you start with your file type, and there's only two choices. There's file or an image. This is a PDF, so you actually choose file, not image, for a PDF if that's what you want to do. And then what you're going to do is you're going to basically browse your device. And my suggestion is that when you sit down and you're ready to take this on, and again, it doesn't take a whole lot of time, is that maybe you establish a folder on your desktop of your device with all your pieces ready to go, because it's a lot easier to just do them in a routine rather than going to have and hunting and fishing for them the whole time. Here's where you enter in your title, and here's where you enter in your description. The next one, which is one I had down here, was a client blog post. For this one, I used a screenshot of the image that the client had on their website, and it's still live there. If we were on the live portfolio instead of the back end, you would be able to click and it would go there. And we can maybe go back to that in a moment. But again, for image, if you're going to use a PNG or a JPEG or perhaps another, you would choose image, not file. And again, you would go in and you would browse for this piece, and you would enter a title and you would enter a description. And then notice here, it says image link. This, if you want to link out or hyperlink to where this piece is actually living and breathing, you would just copy and paste the URL from your client's site or wherever, and you would just paste it into here. So that's what you would do there. One thing I didn't mention before with mats, and that is this, and this comes in pretty handy. When you're into the Freelance Exchange site and you go and you establish your portfolio, you get a unique URL. And that can be very handy as a way to send a link to your FX site portfolio to a prospect, client, whomever. And that can be very helpful if you do not have yet your own website, which you would probably use, kind of instead. But this does give an opportunity to send a simple link to show your work. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to scroll through these, and we're just going to go put up a couple of new pieces on my portfolio so you can kind of see live how this works. Again, every time you go to put one in, it's just very simple. You start with a file type, an image, a title, a description, and a link if appropriate. Link is not required. So what we're going to do here is, okay. So here's my next available spot to do this. So I have in mind, I know what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to choose file. I know I'm working with actually a screenshot from a different website of my own. So I'm going to choose image here. I'm going to go to here, choose file, and I'm going to browse for an image. And I am going to choose this image. And I'm just going to click open. And you can see that the file name kind of populates there. And this is, we're going to call this, website creation. That was the type of work I did. And we're going to give it just a brief, description. I'm going to just say my side hustle is watching homes for people, who travel for weeks and months. And I could put another statement in there that says something like, I created a website to describe my services and to educate my prospects. Maybe that would be the full description. And then I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to put the URL there. And I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to press update. And you're going to see something going on here where it's updating, and you have to be a little patient because it can take a moment. I won't add in the Jeopardy tune here or anything, but it does happen a little more quickly than that.
Zoom tends to eat a lot of the bandwidth and slow down your screen time. It does take less time than that.
Okay, so we're going to go back here, and there could be a different way of going about this, but I'm going to go back into portfolios, and I'm going to again search by my name, bring up my portfolio, and I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom. Sorry for the speed. But this is actually, so here, website creation, then the description, and here's the image. And if you click on this image, because we added in a link, so there it is. That's the actual site. So that is something you can do. A different thing I could do here is actually, if I wanted to, I could have put in a postcard image and made that static, or I could have made it link out to the site as well. So the point is, that's really what's involved here. I do want to show you what happens if you were to go in and you want to maybe say add something that is a PDF. We'll just kind of roll down here. I don't know the overall number of images you can put here. I don't know. I want to say it's like 20. I don't know if that's a hard and fast number. Anywhere from 5 to 10 are probably good. A description here of 3 to 4 sentences is probably pretty good. But you'll see when you get down here and you say, okay, well, I'm out of room, but actually you would go over here and you would say add a portfolio image. And that gives you another, you know, another opportunity. So if I know I'm going to use a PDF file, I would choose File, not Image. I would hit Choose File. I'm going to add it there. And I can put in here, you know, profile, why you'd want one, whatever. But notice here, there's not a spot to add in a URL. And pardon me, I don't know why that is or isn't. I just kind of figured out what it takes to work with the system. So, you know, it kind of gives credence to, you know, why you might want to work with a, you know, just maybe a screenshot or a JPEG instead. I mean, it's all up to you. You know, when you don't, because it doesn't display a thumbnail of the PDF, you kind of lose some of the visual attraction. So, you know, really, it is really for your preference. So we can, what I'm actually going to do here is I'm not going to enter this one, and that's okay, but there is a spot here, over here, where, you know, you can remove a row. And I don't think you can actually resequence or reorder these rows either. So that's kind of a little bit of a downside. If you find out how to, as you play around with it, let us know. And then something else I want to show you is that as you saw on Matt's, there was good information. Let's go back here. If we go back to, I'll leave here. Just run back over to Matt's real quickly. You'll see Matt is very complete on the right-hand side. Contact information, website, phone number, background. And this is all you can enter, you know, whatever you want here. You can see he's got his social media down here. And the way you get to this is that you would go over for, you know, once you are logged in, if you go to the user dashboard and you go over to account details here, this gives you some things that you want to enter. And, you know, you can, so this is where Matt had, you know, up above here is where he would have put in some of his contact information, LinkedIn, things like that. And then down here is the background information, which was that section lower on the right where he concluded with his social media things. And, you know, for this, you know, if you have an about page on your own website, that's a good place. You can just take it from there. You can do something brand new. You can, you know, even take it, you know, maybe from your LinkedIn profile, from wherever. So that is, you know, all available to you as well. So again, it is not real difficult to do. It takes a little, doesn't take a whole lot of time. It's one of those things where, you know, I think it's probably best, and I'm not sure, has everyone seen enough of this? That in a nutshell is really kind of how to get your images out there. Again, not real time consuming. It just helps to be organized. Maybe have, you know, your images in a folder, have your descriptions ready to go that you can cut and paste from. And, I don't know the numbers now of how many folks have their portfolios out there. And you may have seen, as you go into the list of people under a under a particular specialty, I think there's a briefcase icon, which is an indicator as to whether you have a portfolio out there or not. But this is something that it's a benefit of membership. And if you don't have a website of your own out there, this can be very handy. If you're on the session this morning with Matt Kastner, he talked about social asset or whatever, of which any type of website or any way to demonstrate your work is very helpful. I know I waited far too long to get to that point, but that's what there is to it. It's not tough. You set up your profile and you post your images and give a good description and just try to tell people what you're capable of doing for them. And that's really as much as there is. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take those. Maybe those are in the chat window. I'm not sure. I'll check that.
Cammie's got her hand raised.
Pardon me?
Cammie's got her hand raised.
Sure. Go ahead.
I've had several people who have found me through the Freelance Exchange website who said, I clicked on yours because it had a portfolio. So no matter what you do, it's really important to have some kind of work samples up there. Even if it's just one or two, it's better than not having any.
Yeah, otherwise it's just, a name. I mean, it's, I'm not sure who's making a decision to contact based on just a name. I mean, the more no matter like the quantity you have there, at least you're showing something.
Right.
So, and it is kind of handy when you can link out to a live site of where your work is. It kind of adds a little bit more credibility. So, Hamama, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to thank you because I didn't have anything on it and I was really scared, but this looks so easy. So I'm going to do that. Thank you so much. I just want to thank you.
Yeah, don't be scared to do it. I mean, a lot of times it's like, you might recall updating your LinkedIn profile, and it's like you're hesitant to hit the button because you think it's going to let the whole world know. And not everyone's watching, believe it or not. And it's probably even less the case here. So, if you put something out there, you can quickly go in and look at it and see if it looks like you would want it to look to any viewer, and you can decide from there. But I think you'll feel better about it once you get some things out there and you got something to point at. I mean, it's kind of a confidence builder. And, you think about it, there's a lot of other, and one of the things I think I missed going over here is that, there's lots of possibilities to put out there. Matt Nichols had the good fortune of being a photographer, so he has great images. But, you can put any type of art. Maybe it's a direct marketing piece. Maybe it's a postcard. Maybe it's a website homepage. Maybe it's a logo you did for someone. Maybe it's a report cover. I mean, even if you're an SEO person, you could post the cover of a report or something, and maybe just show some graphs or whatever you've got there. You could do an infographic. You could do an endorsement or a letter of recommendation. You could do a resume. I mean, so don't think that it has to be some, prize-winning creative to display. Because as Cammie said, it's something's a lot better than nothing.
So professional videos that we've helped produce can be also posted?
I don't know about the video capability. I'm kind of doubtful about that because I haven't really seen that. I will, Joyce, I'll ask our web developer about that and get you an answer. But again, if you've got a frame or a description, I think on one of mine, I actually put a client's logo and said that I did some acquisition letters and said, samples available upon request.
Okay.
But you know what you might do is if your video is sitting out on YouTube of someone, you know, a client's YouTube site or something, that's probably the URL you could paste in there. You know, I mean, there's different ways to kind of, you know, work around the system. So, you know,
I can try it too, because
you can
I've
try,
still got access to it.
yeah, I would just say, you know, try it, and, you know, if it flies, it flies. I mean, if it's there, you know,
Okay.
hooray.
Excellent. Thank you.
The
Sure.
upload limit for each item is 2 megs, and videos are so big, I doubt
Okay.
you're going to be able to get something smaller than 2 meg, and that's any quality video, but you're more than welcome to link out to it.
Yeah,
I'll
what
try that.
What I've done on a couple of mine is that there were occasions when I secured a media appearance, and it was like on a, you know, a morning TV show like Kansas City Live or whatever, and I just linked out to their site, you know, whether they had it on YouTube or their own site, and it'll play from there. But again, periodically, you kind of have to go in and look at it and see if it's still there. You know, sometimes they purge them after a period of time, but there's some that are 3 years old and they're probably, maybe they're there forever. So, um, you know, try it. If it's living somewhere, you can probably link to it.
I really quickly, I don't want to interrupt you, but I did not give you your due at the beginning. We were all talking and I just let you roll right into this, but I didn't get to properly introduce you. And I want to make sure that you get your due. But I just don't ever, just because I have been on the board for a short time, and I have to say, I think Byron is maybe one of the smartest and also very calming. There's something about him, he the way he speaks is very like, oh, okay, yes, we can do that. I really enjoy listening to you talk and being around you when we were allowed to be around each other.
Yes. Hopefully
But,
that'll resume for everyone's sake.
yeah, in case anybody doesn't know, Byron provides content creation and publicity service to help individuals and organizations grow his visibility, engagement, and revenue. And his clients value his work quality, clarity, brevity, and appreciate him for his reliability. As he said, he's been the program director for 5+ years, and he's planned dozens of our monthly lunch and learn events, featuring Kansas City's premier marketers and professional services providers. And what I didn't know is that you have been a volunteer as a mentor for 10 years at UMKC's Block School, which I think is so great and so interesting. And he loves a podcast.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Shelley. I encourage you, if you are not a board member or on a board member's committee, to get involved. You know, I knew nothing about planning events when I was asked to do this, and I found myself being able to call anyone in town who would take my call and would be flattered to believe that we would like to hear from them. So it's a great way to, you know, build relationships there. And of course, I see Diane is still on the line, I believe, and I could have never done what I did with these events without Diane's help. So endless thanks to Diane. And if you were not on the, I'm gonna just throw in one other plug here. If you weren't on this morning's session with Matt Kasner, I will yet today post a podcast link to the FX Facebook page of something I listened to this morning that is really, to me, just must hear, must see information for everyone who is self-employed or desires to be. There's a lot of strength in numbers and a lot of opportunities. And sometimes we believe that we are out there all alone, and to some degree we are, but really we are not. It's really, you know, the most almost influential business force in the country. So take a listen to this interview with the CEO of the National Association of the Self-Employed. It's really very valuable.
That sounds really great.
Great. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them. If not, Shelley has agreed to be so kind as to circulate these step-by-step instructions by email. And again, just reach me as needed. I'm happy to walk you through it either by phone, email. We could probably even do it via Zoom or something like that. But you know, it's like a lot of these things. It becomes kind of intuitive once you get 2 or 3 or 4 up there, and you'll be flying in no time.
Yeah, I just wanted to also say the Freelance Exchange of Kansas City is open to local Kansas City freelancers in the Kansas City area. So nationally, it's not a national organization, it's a local organization. So I'll distribute that information to our members who are here, and we'll create a portfolio. So if you're out of the country or you heard about this and you wanted to jump in, but you're not a member and you you live outside of Kansas City, you won't get those instructions. So
Good point. Thank you.
membership is just for local Kansas City area.
All right.
Thank you, Byron. Thank you so much for giving us your time today.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
The other thing didn't got canceled, so I'm glad we were able to spend a little more time.
Yeah, it actually got moved to I think 4 o'clock, which I think still gives me an opportunity to listen on the next session for a bit.
It should.
So
Thank
very
you.
good.
Thank you so much.
All right, see
everybody.
y'all. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming.
Thank you so much, Byron. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
See
bye-bye.
y'all at 3. Thank you.
Mhm.